As we were heading into 2018, this new up-and-coming cryptocurrency called Bitcoin had just reached a new all-time high. In December of 2017 more specifically, and that high was just over $25,000. After months of people talking about it, it seemed Bitcoin was going to take over the world heading into 2018, and then it crashed, going as low as just $4,000 exactly a year later in December of 2018. Ever since, it appears Bitcoin was spoken about here and there, but nothing crazy. Fast forward to the present day, and Bitcoin has once again reached new all-time highs, almost breaking the $50,000 mark. Now this didn't happen overnight, as Bitcoin's price was rising over the years. However, after Elon Musk tweeted about it and claimed Tesla had about $1.5 billion worth, well, as you can imagine, it's gone wild. Today on Life's Biggest Questions, we're asking, what if Bitcoin is the only currency? Make sure to smash that like button, and let's go. So first things first, what is Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency by definition is a digital currency in which transactions are verified and records maintained by a decentralized system using cryptography rather than by a centralized authority. Now, if you don't understand what any of that means, in simple terms, it's a form of digital money, so it's not physical like cash. Cryptography is just a way to secure records and documents using code, making it very tough to replicate, or in this case, counterfeit. In regards to the centralized authority, that's what banks are. They have actual buildings, bank managers, tellers, all who need to get paid. They also have the power to reduce or increase the value of money through means such as inflation, which, to no surprise, people don't like. In regards to certain crypto, specifically Bitcoin in this case, it's maintained by a decentralized system, meaning things like inflation can't necessarily happen. This is due to the fact that there are a set number of Bitcoins which are going to be available, no more, no less, and when they're all released, that's it. Unlike cash, which is being printed at the mint daily, there isn't an infinite amount of Bitcoin, which means similarly to gold, which was traded way back in the day, it's got a specific worth. The difference between Bitcoin and gold is that we created this currency, as in us humans. Earth may only have so much gold, but there could be other planets or asteroids where gold could potentially be mined using technology we've yet to create. Bitcoin, on the other hand, has a written number that will be released when all is said and done, 21 million to be exact, and they're released or acquired by mining blockchains. Every 4 years, more Bitcoin is released. That in itself is a whole other headache to explain, but essentially, due to the fact that we know there's a specific amount of Bitcoins that will be released when they're all mined, we can figure out what its base value will eventually be. Considering how this would allow for a new form of exchange and currency, in a sense, eventually, banks would no longer be needed, assuming we all abandon cash. Which leads to the question we're asking today. So if Bitcoin was the only currency in the world, things would be incredibly different. The way trades of any kind, from countries trading goods with each other to buying a coffee at a store, would all be the same. Now, what do I mean by this? All over the world, there would only be one currency, but that would be the case if the question was changed to, what if the US dollar, pound, or euro is the only currency? The biggest difference between Bitcoin and the other previously mentioned currencies is that Bitcoin isn't government owned, and as I mentioned before, has a set limit of what's going to be released. And because of this, many people such as Elon Musk are betting that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general is going to be the way of the world moving forward, especially with fear of inflation across the US. So with all of this in mind, what would happen if Bitcoin eventually did become the only currency worldwide? Well, odds are the value of other things would likely increase or decrease quite significantly. Here's what I mean by that. Some like to trade currencies to make money, as in they'll exchange from American dollars to Canadian or pounds to euros. Whatever the transaction is, they'll do it based on the exchange rate. If the exchange rate is fair or almost equal, it may be a good time to exchange your currency with a foreign currency, assuming the foreign currency will go up in price eventually. At that point, you then trade the foreign currency back to your original money, and boom, you made a profit. If Bitcoin was the only currency, this wouldn't be the case at all. So naturally, all other currencies would be rendered useless. But there's much more to it than just that. Goods that normally cost one price in one country and another price in another country would now be the same across the world. Meaning $1 in America, Canada, China, or Argentina would all be worth the same dollar amount. With this in mind, it seems that certain items or luxuries that once appeared to be of more value would start to lose said value due to the equal exchange. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that things like designer clothes and jewelry and fancy cars would go out of style, but people would likely change the way they spend their money, knowing that there isn't an infinite amount of wealth that can continue being accumulated. However, an issue that would arise here is the transition of having hundreds of currencies somehow being converted into Bitcoin. Not only would people need to figure out how much Bitcoin they now own, but somehow we'd also have to determine what one Bitcoin really is worth. The stock for Bitcoin may be close to 50,000 bucks, but that doesn't mean that one Bitcoin is necessarily worth that amount. That's what the stock price is worth based on the supply and demand available. Remember that every 4-year thing I mentioned? Well, given that there's a ton of interest and only so much currently available, It jacks the price up. However, when all Bitcoin is mined, then we'll be able to verify its exact dollar amount. But again, it seems if Bitcoin was the only currency, dollar amount wouldn't be worth as much. Given that there is a set amount of Bitcoin that will eventually be available, no more, no less, it seems our priorities would change. We'd like to go back to a time where people would value goods and services more than materialistic things. Maybe not. As always, guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one down below. For now, let's reply to some comments from the video. Will 2021 be worse than 2020? Xrioni said, if we are in a simulation, then I think whoever is managing our simulation needs to be fired. I agree. I agree. If we could just unplug the whole system and then plug it back in. Or pull out the game and then blow. You know when you used to blow into N64 games? That's what we gotta do here, guys. Santo Caputo said 2021 might suck. Me, I don't care, just give me a movie about Monkey versus Barney. So at first I was like, is he talking about Godzilla versus King Kong? And then I realized exactly what he's talking about, because Godzilla is an ape, which I never want to call him a monkey, because I know you guys will come for me. He's an ape. And then obviously Godzilla is a dinosaur, which I guess that's what Barney was? Barney was a dinosaur. Big purple dinosaur. But I feel like people say Godzilla's like a lizard. But he's not, like he is. I mean, are lizards dinosaurs though? That's another LBQ, I guess. Are lizards dinosaurs? Dash said it spells 2021. So I see what you're implying there. And I saw it heading into the new year, everyone's like, 2021's gonna be worse because it's saying that the year 2021. But it didn't, because guys, we're still here. 2020's still here, but 2020 isn't. So we won. We're the winners. It's us. I don't want to lose, I'm competitive. Alright guys, that's all for this one. I've been your host, Jared Bronstein, and we'll see you guys soon.